Hi, I'm Lisa Andria, Transformation Life Coach. Welcome to the Ladies Who Leap podcast, where guests share their inspiring stories of leaping out of their comfort zone with confidence and power, and into a life of purpose and fulfillment. Let's listen to their life-changing stories so that we can all learn how to gain the courage to take a leap of faith into a life that we love so that we can all be ladies who leap. Welcome to the Ladies Who Leap podcast. Let's get started. Welcome to the Ladies Who Leap podcast. I appreciate that you're taking the time to listen to the inspiring stories of people who took a leap of faith to reach new heights in their life. My goal is that their stories inspire you to take the first steps of many so that you can follow your own unique dreams. So today I am blessed to have on the show Zana Devine. She's a hospitality coach and founder and CEO at Zana Devine Hospitality. Jonna, originally from Berlin, Germany, had the privilege of being born into an amazing hospitality family. Her father was an acclaimed chef, and her mother was the head of a housekeeping department at a medium-sized hotel. This is where her passion and true love for the world of hospitality began, and while abroad, gave her the incentive to earn a bachelor's in hospitality and a master's degree in hotel management. Jonna has 25 years of knowledge and expertise in the industry, the hospitality industry, around the world, working with stellar brand names such as Hilton, Intercontinental Hotels and Resorts, Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts, Fig and Olive, to name a few. Fluent in 4 languages, Jonna is thrilled to offer services in German and English. Welcome to the Ladies Who Leap podcast.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm very grateful too. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, I'm really thankful to have you here. For those of you on the call, listening, this is actually take 2 for us. I'm going to admit it fully. We did a wonderful podcast last week, and somehow it didn't get recorded. So we are doing a take 2 right now, and you're going to get just as much wonderful information that we're going to share today.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, so Jonna, your bio mentions that how you nurtured this love for hospitality through your parents.
Mhm.
Can you give us
Mhm.
a bit more information about how your parents nurtured that love?
Yeah, my parents were immigrants. So my mom was originally from Serbia. My dad was originally from Hungary, and they migrated to Germany. And really, their mindset was always like, we have this opportunity to make something better for our lives. So we really want to dive in. And so while they had their 2 separate journeys entering the country of Germany, then they met and started to create life. And I was created within that journey too. But when I was little, I was very often at my dad's restaurant, or I was very often at my mom's hotel. And I really was born into the world of hospitality, and I was always so fascinated with just when I would walk through the restaurant, I would hear the glasses clinking, and I would hear people laugh. And in the evening, candles would be on the table, and my dad would come out and talk to the guests. And home cooking is obviously something I absolutely grew up on. And so I was always fascinated with the fast pace of the hospitality industry, yet with the service aspect and the being served was very fancy to me. When I was little, I always wanted to go to restaurants with white tablecloth and, so I don't know, it just was really fascinating to me, and then when I grew up and I grew more into that, gaining my own knowledge on things, I was so fascinated with like really the executing part of like, how do you really correctly serve wine? And how do you really correctly speak at a table? How do you really do your selling part in a non-selling way to make your guests comfortable? And, I grew up where we took stuff very personal too. Like the way my mom and my dad would be at their workspace, they would be the very same way at their home. When we would have guests, we would always offer food. We would always offer something to drink. We would always want our guests that come to our home be very comfortable and feel warm. And I took that really in my entire career, and I fostered that within me, that's really what hospitality to me is. But in truth be spoken, I learned that from my parents at home. How they treated their guests is really where I learned hospitality the first time. And so, yeah.
So, and that's fantastic because not everyone has what they're going to do in life as
Hmm.
solidified at a young age and have it be,
Hmm.
their parents that really instilled that in them. So that was a
Yeah.
great experience for you as a child. Now, the other
Yeah.
side of that is the fact that you immigrated to the United States from Germany.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
where did the courage come for that? And please explain that whole story. I don't know if it came from your parents or where did that all come
Yeah.
from? Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely part of my parents because, obviously my parents being immigrants themselves, I saw struggles very early on because my parents didn't speak any German. And when I started to go to German school, I actually helped my parents to learn how to write. So everything I learned in school, I would come home and my mom would be like, okay, what did you learn today? Teach mama, teach me. So I feel like that part of really wanting to break out of your norm and wanting to explore this beautiful world uh, just really came from there. And the fearless of doing that was almost like kind of like brought in my veins while my mom was pregnant with me because they did that. And is it scary? Absolutely. But I wanted more. I wanted to just explore the world in a different way. And hospitality gave me a fantastic platform of not only travel and live in different countries, because I lived in 8 different countries, but also it gave me the platform of really helping myself to learn about different cultures, to be that fearless person, to just say, you know what, yeah, I'll do it. It's just me. I have, obviously I had a job set up here in America and I had a place to stay. So it wasn't like I backpacked here and I started from completely zero, obviously, like my parents really literally did. But just really having that leap of faith of understanding that my parents mentally, emotionally, spiritually, they gave me that platform of like, if this is really what's in your heart, go. Like, if anything, you can always come home. But if this is really what you want to do with your life, go. And so I feel like that was a big part of it. But me also just being an explorer. I'm a huge explorer. I love to explore all the time, new things and people and just their stories and what's this about and what's that about. And I'm really like, I have to try everything one time. Now, there's obviously things that I would not need to try one time even, you know, but I'm saying like when it comes to, trying new things out and just overcoming your own fear, even if it's scary, but then I feel like once you do it anyway, is really that part gives your soul an extra strength of like, wow, you can do that. And I'm not saying it gets easier. I'm just saying it gets lighter, right? Like it's kind of like, when you first time you're in a swimming pool and there's this really high thing where people go up and they jump down. The first time you're like, oh, that's very deep. But then you do it one time and then you feel that, oh, okay, it was scary, but I did it. And so that part just followed me internally, and it was kind of like unconsciously too, because I never sat there and said, oh, I'm so strong. No, I've never done that. But it just, I don't know.
But what made you settle in Long Beach and the United States? And now I didn't realize, in fact, our first conversation and many that we've had already, I didn't realize that you lived in a lot of different countries. So
Mhm.
what is it that brought you to not only United States, but Long Beach?
Yeah, I mean, America in general, I was working with an agency back then in Germany that collected resumes from people that are in the profession that I'm in and that have specific degrees. And they would then send out resumes to country clubs and restaurants and hotels all over America. And I got 3 offers. And I think one was for sure Florida, because that's where I started. The other one was, I think, Boston and a third one. And I was like, you know what? I was never anywhere in America and Florida and palm trees and sun. Yes, let's do that. And so that's like really how my journey really started. And then through that, having many different working visas, because it was not really an easy journey just to come here and work here. Like there's many tribulations, there's many rules and regulations that I had to follow. And through that, I discovered that, okay, Florida is cool, but it's not so much my cup of tea. And so, love brought me really to Long Beach because my son's father, he is from California and we've met. And then kind of like that kind of was definitely a big indicator for me coming to California. And so that's kind of like the overall idea of how I really landed here in California. But Long Beach to me was always so fascinating because I feel Long Beach is so vibrant. And it's perfect for if you are a mom, if you're a single mom, if you are a couple, if you're like, it doesn't matter what your status really is. I feel like Long Beach offers that you feel good no matter what, like it's family oriented. You have things to do. If you bougie, that's perfectly settled for you. You have fine dining restaurants, like you have stuff to go to, you have karaoke, you have these cool little dinty like it's amazing, like you have everything here. And the culture here is so diverse, in my opinion. And so me being here really does remind me a little bit on Europe because people walk here and they ride bikes and there's like activities all over the whole year for children also. And I think Long Beach is a great city. I think I'm really happy that I landed here. Yeah.
Yeah, before you said the word diverse, I was going to say, yes, the diversity here is amazing. And what it
Yeah.
allows you to do, even just staying in one place, even if you didn't go to other countries, you actually can
Mhm.
meet a lot of people from a lot of different countries and understand their cultures from the food, the different restaurants. Obviously, you're very much involved in that. And so there's a lot of different cultural type of restaurants even here. It's so that you can get a taste of different countries just by the food in the restaurants, right? And other things because there's so much diversity here. So
Mhm.
you've faced many challenges in your life, and with each one bringing you closer to your own realization that you needed to transform your true self. This is some conversation
Mhm.
we've had. And I think because I love the description of your own podcast, which is R&R, which is Resilience and Rebirth podcast. So it mentions
Mhm.
fostering growth through collective experiences. And to me, it really embodies you as a person, wanting to promote empathy, understanding, and love. So how did you get to that point? I mean, obviously that was a journey, right? And it took a
Mhm.
leap of faith in yourself. How was that birthed, the podcast, but even before that, how did you move ahead with finding out who you're being true to your own self?
Well, I feel like, I understood from myself that I was always really able to, when I have conversations with people, it would come really easy for me to kind of like listen to their challenges or problems or whatever they felt comfortable sharing with me, which really was always so fascinating because even people that I just met for a hot second, all of a sudden I find myself in a really deep rooted conversation with them because I felt like there was something that made them feel comfortable to really open up. But every time when that would happen, I would feel that I can, from a non-judgmental point of view, really zone in and hone in their situation and kind of like give an advice from a non-judgmental point of view. But then really what I found out later in my life, then I'm an empath. I'm a natural born empath, which I had no idea about, for many, many years of my life. And when I would in tune with specific energies, I would feel what they would feel. And so since I didn't know how to shield myself from anybody's energy but my own, I took their energy on and I would, it was almost like a layer on me. And so every time when I would have conversations or conflicts or arguments, debates, positive or negative, I would have those layers on me. And with time and with my spiritual growth and, going through the death of my parents and many challenges in my private life, I understood that more and more about myself. And while I was in this healing phase, really from many things all at once, I just started recording really how I felt. Like it wasn't even intended to be a podcast ever. Like I've never once sat there and said, I should do a podcast. Never, never. And so I just started recording basically for self-healing. I just had to say what I needed to say. And I wanted to say what I needed to say about this topic without anybody's influence and just recorded it. And then I felt the urge from upstairs to be like, you should do a podcast. And I'm like, no. And this battle would go on for a while. And so,
Oh my goodness.
maybe like a year and a half later, I would re-listen to the recorded episodes that I had recorded just by myself. And I was like, you know what? I really still feel the same way I felt when I recorded this. And at that point, I was like, maybe I'm just emotional. Maybe I'm this. Maybe I had a glass of wine too much or whatever. You just brush stuff off. You don't want to really acknowledge sometimes things to yourself. And I'm like, because who's going to listen to that? There's thousands, millions of podcasts out there. There's thousands, million. Like, I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I'm not even in the space of needing for this to be something. I just And so that's kind of how the idea developed of me saying to myself, if I'm speaking truly transparently about a topic, maybe, just maybe, there's somebody out there that really feels the same way. Maybe not about this topic, but maybe about something, but they just need help to just talk about that freely. And so that's why in my podcast, I invite the collective to come and share, because this is an experience for everybody. And my dream or my inspiration for that was just, if my mess up, if my tribulation, if my pain can help you not to experience the same way, because by you listening what I went through and how I handle it, wrong or right, can maybe help you to be like, okay, you know what? That does make sense that she did wrong. And maybe I shouldn't do that. Or it did make sense what kind of worked out for her. Maybe I should try it that way. And when we involve now the collective and other energies and we allow them to marinate together and we share our hearts and we share our true story, I feel like this could be really helpful, And so that's really the overall how I decided. I'm like, okay, I guess it's gonna be a podcast. So let's go.
And while you're talking, I was thinking it was somebody somewhere in the universe was speaking to you and whispering, you need to do this, you need to do this, and then probably started yelling at some point, you need to do
Yeah,
this. Because I
yeah,
do believe the same thing. And why I even got started as being a transformation coach or a life coach is it's more simple term, is that I wanted to help other people, help you heal through my experience and difficult experiences and how I healed. And I'm going to help you do that through these stories, because we all learn from stories.
that's
Everybody,
it.
that's how our brain works, is our unconscious mind learns from stories and metaphors and things like that. Then our job has been done. If we've helped even one person, right? That's
Yeah,
why I love what
yeah.
I do
And
and what you're
and
doing.
I do want to add that we not only learn from stories, but we also learn from, unfortunately, really big mistakes that we did in our life, right?
Mhm.
And so only through those mistakes that we allowed ourselves afterwards to just accept that with grace and be like, you know what? I completely accept myself in every stage of my life. In every stage of my life, no matter where I am, no matter how I am, no matter what I've done, what I haven't done, what I should have, what I should not, I'm still okay and I forgive myself. But getting to that part is I feel like the challenge for a lot of people. At least it was very challenging for me to really look at myself and say, this was really not good. This was such a big mistakes looking afterwards. And I wish I would have not done that, or I wish I could have handled it in a different way. But here I am. It did it. And so, but I feel like the minute we forgive ourselves and the minute we allow forgiveness just to flow and just accept that either way we did it in that moment, we used the tools that we had with the growth that we were in, with the spiritual level that we were on, and it still wasn't right or wrong. It was just what needed to happen and what felt right in this moment for us. So is it wrong? No. Is it right? No. It just is kind of like what it was. And sometimes just accepting things or situations simply for what they are, that radical acceptance is simple but really hard at the same time, you
Yeah.
know?
When you make those decisions in life that you have to forgive yourself for, or you should forgive yourself for in order to move forward in a healthy way,
Yeah.
it is your reality at the time. That was what the
Mm,
knowledge that you had, the reality of your life, what healing you maybe had not gone through. That is exactly what it is that you did based on the reality that you had. And the main thing is not only acceptance and forgiveness, but also learning. What are the lessons that came out of those experiences? Every experience that you have, good or bad, you have a lesson that you can take to the next phase in your life, to another part of your life. But it's understanding and listening and preserving those learnings as you experience these things in life is so important. And when you accept that
mm,
you will get learnings from mistakes, that mistakes are made on for a reason, that life happens for you, not to you, but it happens for you so that you can make mistakes and you can learn from them. All successful people made a lot of mistakes. In fact, the most
yeah.
successful people probably made the most mistakes because they were able to take that information and perfect what they were doing going forward. So understand that,
Mm,
everybody who's listening, that you make a mistake, yes. And if it's someone that you need to ask for forgiveness or to apologize to, do that too. But understand that you make that mistake or you do something based on what your reality is at the time. And just let it go, learn a lesson from it, and move forward and keep taking the steps forward. That's exactly what you did. You kept taking the steps forward and moving from job to job. If you were unhappy, I understand there was some things that you were not happy with on a job, and then you moved into something you enjoy. And now being the CEO of your own hospitality coaching business. Can you give us an idea of what you do with, let's say, a restaurant or any organization or place in order to improve their customers' experience, right? Because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's about that for sure. That's like the main key to anything. And it doesn't matter if it's really hospitality related or not, even though hospitality is really my most loved water to swim in, just because I'm so rooted in that and I really know exactly how things would work. But I feel like it's that part, but it's also, there's three keys, right? So one key obviously is that we need to understand that we want to provide our guests, our clients, our customers the best possible experience that they will ever get, not only one time, but all the time they would come back. And then, employee turnover is really big too in hospitality, especially in hospitality, just because, a lot of things change all the time so quick. Like in 1 second, we can have a lunch reservation, the whole restaurant for like 380 people, but just one phone call later can bump that up to another 100 people. And you have to be very flexible and you have to be very multitasking and you have to understand that your staff functions the same way. They're not bound to having to stay with you forever, especially not if certain needs of the employees are not being met, such as respect and kindness and courage and investing into them. And investing can be as small as just you just verbally acknowledging them by saying, thank you that you're here today. I appreciate you. You're doing such a great job. I see your numbers every day when you're here. You're making, revenue not only for yourself within your tips, but also for me as an owner. And here's something that I want to give back to you. And those things could be, again, as small as a In-N-Out gift card. It could be as big as a nice bottle of wine. It could be even bigger, like a free day off, paid free day off, And so when we really nurture our staff and we really acknowledge and encourage them and invest in them, if a staff member comes to you and says, hey, I'm really interested in learning more about wine. Okay, how about you bring somebody in for the day and give your staff really so they don't need to leave you? Because if they make enough money in your establishment and they're being treated with respect and with kindness, and you receive the same from them. Like it's always a two-way street, right? And I can talk a long list about employees too, because if this is not because it's not your restaurant or your hotel, it's okay to break glasses. No, it's really not, because it's not your inventory that you pay. It's not okay just to take wine keys at home that you're being offered just as a tool. It's not okay just to mess up tools that you're being given to do a good job. Like it always goes both ways, right? Respect. But that's really big, staff turnover is really huge. So how can we eliminate that? So I focus on that in my business. And then guest service is the most important thing, because it is not enough anymore to just take an order. Like it's never been enough. In good hospitality, that's never been enough just to take an order. In really good rooted hospitality, it's really about you understanding your guests with a nonverbal idea. Meaning, if somebody steps in your establishment, you should offer them anything that there's to offer. If you're a hotel, teach your staff where is the nearest ATM. If they have children, let them know where the nearest playground is. Let them know where the nearest museums are for children. If you have activities within your own establishment, talk about that. If you have spa, lay it out to the guests. Like anything that we can help the establishment we are work for to accumulate, to have our guests stay within a house, is exactly how we get that. But if the receptionist has, for instance, no idea when the spa hours are or no idea what's on the menu for restaurants, if there is vegan options, then you already have like a picture of like, okay, it seems like nobody really knows what's happening here. And that's literally something that I train too. And, third part is obviously training upper management and, the owners and investors of such places, because sometimes they're not from the industry. So they don't even know how to really have a proper interview to hire a specific person for a specific position, because they don't really know what's really needed. And if they are from the industry and they don't have enough time because they're very busy as CEOs and as owners, it's really good to always have somebody in place that really does specific things for you. So it's always going. But I feel like the communication part in general is a lot of times where things are lacking, because sometimes I feel like I'm not able to share my with you my secret sauce, because I'm afraid you might take it and you might steal it, which I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but you have to have some form of confidence within your own establishment with your staff to be like, look, this is really how I need things done, and express that in a very clear communicative way. Because if I don't know what your expectation is on me, you cannot be mad or blame me that it hasn't been executed the way you wanted it, because I need direction first. I might need help first. Maybe I've never carried 4 plates on my arm ever. Maybe I never done decanting of wine, but I'm a great person because I have a great personality and I fit right in your staff because I'm cute. I'm fun. Like I get along with the people. I'm a people person, but I don't know how to open wine. So who can teach me that in a proper way? And so all of that is really what I and my business focus on, is really like helping your staff to understand that when you step on this floor, there's a fine balance between you needing to put your personal life to the side, because now it's kind of like showtime and you're here to be a servant to people. But that goes the same way from employers to employees. They're their servant too. You serve me my money. You serve me my job. You serve me my secure income. And I serve you with my time, with my knowledge, with my brain, with my personality, with making your guests feel amazing. Right. And
Right.
so it always goes both ways. And so I just really made it a point to really, focus on obviously selling, making sales, and pumping up revenue for staff and owners, but also guests, because we have all choices. I don't have to come to your establishment. I don't have to work at your establishment. I can work wherever I like to.
You
I
know,
can go wherever I like to.
and what's interesting, because as you're talking, I was thinking the places that I really appreciate the most, and I'm okay with paying a little bit more for, I've noticed that they have the same staff all the time. You walk in and you go, "Hi, how's it going?" You see the same people because obviously they're happy at what they do. Their bosses are treating them well. The restaurant is making good food and everything is just it's a good work environment. So obviously it's going to be a good environment for you to come in and eat your food and have an experience. And I know and I can
Mhm.
see that a big deal is communication, is how the
Yeah.
boss communicates with the people that work for them, how they communicate with the customers that come in. All that is a lot to do with communication. And I know that you have a gift yourself of kind of being able to read energy. How does that help? And for the listeners, there's a lot of leaps that Jonna has done that we haven't really specifically talked about. And I know this is what we talk about as women who leap. The first one being coming to the United States from Germany, and then also leaping from different jobs and having the faith in yourself that you know you can do these other jobs, and then having the faith in yourself to have your own business. And so that courage to have your own business and be an entrepreneur, I think some of that probably comes from your parents also, but where did you get the courage to do that? Where did that come from?
I mean, all my jobs were really all the time in hospitality. It was either at a hotel, at a country club, as a resort, or as a fine dining restaurant. It was never anywhere else, really. I mean, I dibbled and dabbled a little bit with real estate, and I'm pretty good. Like, I'm really sales is really something that comes easy to me, and I'd done retail for a little bit too, just because I love clothes. Um, but I feel like it was just part of me really making my own mistakes, because I worked in so many great, fantastic establishments where I did not have the spiritual knowledge and the emotional intelligence that I have today. And I had to suffer through a lot of things that I messed up on my end. That's why I suffered. It's not because they necessarily treated me wrong. which happened a lot too. But also the other part happened where I did not know how to handle it in a correct way, where I did not know how to use my verbiage in a correct way because my tone was off, my attitude was off, my way of approach was off, my deliverance was off. There's so many ways about my communication skills in general that were just off. And I didn't know how to master aspects of that at that time, and that led me really to lose a bunch of opportunities too, in all honesty. So that's why I basically had a lot of different jobs within the hospitality and different establishments. But also part of that was because I wanted to travel. I didn't want to be stuck at one place. I wanted to go and explore. But I certainly did my fair share to not be how can I say, to help myself not to succeed in certain aspects. Like, I certainly done my own part to that too. But yeah, I feel like just my parents always telling me that no matter what, I can always come home. So I always knew that I had that safety net, that if anything really were to go wrong, I could always just pack my bags and go back home, And I mean, Europe is beautiful too. I could live in so many different countries in Europe and do the same. But for some reason, I wanted to stay here. And then obviously, when love entered my life, it was even more a reason. And then, I had my child and all of those things. So, America did many great things for me. Like this country had served me in so many ways and allowed me to grow in aspects that I never knew I could. And granted, I'm a little bit older now than before I came to this country. So obviously, me being older and growing and maturing obviously had something to do with that too. But just being in an environment where I felt like I could really go and go get it for myself, just the opportunities were very, very different here. Very, very helpful and very enlightening too at the same time.
So there's a healthy environment in the United States for being an entrepreneur. Is that basically what you're saying? In the United States,
I'm,
there's a healthy
you know
environment.
what? I definitely say that it gives you the platform of really being able to execute what you really want to do for yourself. Yes, like the opportunities for you to be an entrepreneur and create an LLC, for instance, or just become your own business owner is definitely given here differently than, for instance, in my country where I'm from. I mean, you can go and do the same thing, but there's many steps, different steps than there are here. And I feel like here, when you really show and you prove that you really want to go and you really want to go and get that, you can, because back in the days when we would watch American movies, they would always be this one sentence that would say from a dishwasher to a millionaire, right? And only capable and is this possible in America? And certain aspects are really true to that. Yeah, it's really true. But I feel like also more for myself is once I really decided I want to be much more stronger rooted in my spiritual journey is really when a lot of things had happened. But this happened for me in here in this country. So I combine it. I have to combine it because it happened here. It didn't happen anywhere else, even though my roots are somewhere else. And I brought my spiritual base with me. But my exploring of it and all these ideas and the podcast and my own business and just me mentally growing happened here for me.
And I always kind of think about what was the cost if you had not gone through this spiritual awakening and found your true self. And so that'll be one of the last deep questions I ask. What is the cost if you had not even been brave enough to admit to things that you needed to learn about yourself and were open to reading others' energy and understanding that you're an empath? All these things are not necessarily easy, but you were open to that and open to making the changes and hearing from the universe what it is that you needed to hear in order to grow. What would have been the cost if you did not open up to that in your life, right?
I think I would have been just stuck. Energetically, mentally, emotionally, I would have just stayed stuck because for a very long time in my life, I felt like I'm stuck. I felt like I didn't understand why certain things are constantly happening to me. Maybe not with the same people, even though that happened too. maybe not in the same situation, even though that happened too, but the content of it. Why is this repeating? What is this really that I'm finding myself again in this situation? What is it that I'm doing wrong? I needed to find that out. And more importantly, my inner drive really, it always came from one statement and one request. For the longest would I pray and say on a piece of paper and affirmations and anywhere I can that I wanted to be able to be calm and collective and firm in any life-given situation. No matter what the life situation is, I wanted to be capable of expressing myself truly how I felt in a calm, collective, yet firm manner, that I am allowed to say what I need to say, but I wanted this to always be very respectfully in any voice, in any tone, any verbiage, any vocabulary that I would use. I wanted that to be respectful and just I wanted to be heard more. And so that was really like the most mastering thing of my character that I ever had to take on, because for years I would mess up a lot. I'm like, well, dang, I did it again. Dang, I did it again. And then I would have that guilt trip and all of those. So I feel like that drive of letting go and accepting I cannot change would have been my breaking part. And I never wanted to accept it. And I never did. Deep down, I never did, even though I sat and I pounded and I cried and I stopped. Right. But deep down, I'm like, I know I have to. I have to get rid of this. Whatever this is, I need to find a way to master this and to be a master of that, because it's internally in me. Nobody made me do that. Nobody put a gun to my head. Like, it was me. So if it's me, where is it coming from? And why is it there? How do I get the why to answer in order to remove what is blocking me? And so I think if I would have not done that, I would have been the same girl I've been 10, 20, 30 years ago. It's still cool in aspects, but not at all what I am today, to myself at least. You know, the way I see myself. I'm not saying that that's how I am being viewed, which really, in all honesty, it's not so much my concern, but how I view myself, me internally, so that when I'm sitting in front of myself, with myself in my own time, that I can be like, you know what? I'm the shit. I'm a cool girl. I like myself. I like me now so much, you know? And so that part, you know, that getting to that self love and acceptance and respect for me, the creation that I was really created from my, you know, creator, is was the longest journey. And I'm always going to be on that journey. That's something that you know even better than I do.
Yeah.
That never stops. You just get more, you know, buttons on your thing, you know, another button, another, you know, and then you collect these. And then at the end of your lifetime, you have like a nice blazer with all these buttons on you that you collected, you know, energetically and emotionally by growing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And that's a lot of what I do with clients is having them get rid of the baggage that keeps them
Yeah.
stuck. Not
Yeah.
always easiest. You have to face things. You have to look at
Yeah.
what it is in your life that gave you the negative limiting beliefs in your head and all that negative self-talk that's been going on, which is really dictating your behaviors, your patterns, your decisions, all of that, and understanding and using what your unique values are, which is basically what you're talking about is what do I have? What values do I have and are unique to me, and living your life in that way. So it's like the road to authenticity is kind of what you were describing is in a sense to find
Yeah.
out your inner self. It's that road to authenticity. So you hinted about, you know, at the end, I always ask for your favorite quote, mantra, positive affirmation, poem, prayer, anything. You kind of hinted a little bit about that. What would you like to share with everyone?
You know, my favorite quote really is, I always convert back to that, is really all things are possible with God. Anything is possible. It's one of my favorite sayings that I always, you know, remind myself on. And then also just accept yourself. You're okay. You are exactly okay where you are, what you are, and what you are stand for in this moment, even though you think you're not. You're okay, you know?
Simply because you exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Simply because you just exist. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's
And
that
surrounding
simple.
yourself with people that feel the same way and accept everything about you that could be the wrong things that you say, but understanding that it isn't something that you do intentionally. This is just you make little mistakes in how you communicate, and you're working on getting better and surrounding yourself with people that value you and appreciate you. That's what life is all about.
That's what life is all about. And you know what? Even if you just say to that, Lisa, hey, look, I might come across this in this way. Just know from the beginning, this is not really my intention, but I'm still working on this part of my character. If you, for instance, know that this is something that you have been told and you don't want to offend anybody and you're building a new friendship or a new business ship or whatever it might be, just be authentic about that too. Hey, this is sometimes how it can get. I get very excited about coffee. I can't help myself. Like I love coffee, for instance, right?
Yeah.
And so nobody needs to get offended when I'm yelling for coffee. And so I'm saying when we say these authentic things about ourselves, because we truly take the time to get to know who you are today, because who you are today does not define anymore maybe who you were then. Maybe it does, parts of it, maybe it doesn't. But who are you today? Like, do you know? Do you know by yourself who you are? And when we start to have that self time, 5 minutes per day, asking ourselves, am I still okay with avocado on my toast? That's something I still like, or is it a habit? Did it become a habit? I don't know. Do I still like it or not? Yeah, I still like it. Okay, cool. Avocado on the toast. Great. Move on. But if it's something where it's like, I don't know, then maybe think about that. Take time to hone into that,
Yeah.
because you can change it. You have the privilege to change anything, and you have the option to change your mind, and you are allowed to.
You can shift it anytime, even if you have a goal and you're halfway there and you're like, it's not aligning with my values right now. I
Yeah,
think I need to shift. It's okay. Just keep
totally.
moving forward. Keep allowing yourself to learn about yourself, to accept yourself, to love yourself, and again, to surround yourself with people that are accepting and loving and appreciative of you also. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm so grateful for you, Lisa, for doing this for our collective, because I know from personal experiences, talking to you, your own personal stories, that there's so many things that you went through in your own life. And for you to take this to a next level, to just offer your energy, your time, your resources, your brain, your pain, your heartache, because every time when we share those things with people, it comes up within us too, which means we really had to do a good job of mastering the wound for it to be closed. But you're doing that for your own clients and for the collective to just help. And for that, I'm very grateful that we have, we say angels like that on the ground, that do this legwork, like light workers like you that really do this type of work for people, that offer their own energy, their energy exchange, because it's exhausting really doing work like you do. And thank you for doing that for people, because we need you. Humans need humans like this.
Oh, thank you. And I love what I do. And when you said angels on earth, that's what I call my mom. So it gave me a bit of goosebumps because I'm taking what she has always done in her lifetime for her friends and taking it to another level. So I appreciate that comment. And again, it gave me goosebumps. So thank you very much. I know there are people that have restaurants, and you really want to be able to tell them, hey, you need to make this a little bit better, but you don't know how. So, how can people reach you? Because maybe they can just give them your information and go, you need to
Yeah.
call this woman because she can help your restaurant. I really want you to succeed. Maybe that's a better way to put it. I really want to see you
Yeah.
succeed. So, call this woman, Jonna Devine, and have
Yeah.
her help you. How do they reach you?
Yeah, well, I mean, the easiest way for them to reach me is either to contact you. That's the very easiest way. They can also go on my LinkedIn, and my name is spelled Zana, Usher, Usher. It's on LinkedIn. And then also, my Instagram, Zana Hospitality. So those are really like the main platforms where people reach. I mean, I have my own website. I'm sure you'll put it in the caps. It's JanaDevineHospitality.com. But I think the most easiest way is just to, hop on Lisa's call. Like call Lisa for my number. She'll freely give it out to you. And
Yeah, we're talking all the time now, so I have no problem knowing how to get a hold of you. Well, thank you to everyone who's been listening. You've been an amazing guest, Jonna, and I love your life story. And I know that your story will help others to be able to take their own unique dreams to another level. So thank you so much for that. And everyone, my new episodes come out the 1st and the 8th of the month. So please subscribe so that you know when they're coming out and you can get a hold of them and listen or watch on YouTube, also through the Ladies Who Leap podcast. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks so much for listening or watching. Please subscribe to the Ladies Who Leap podcast to be notified of new episodes. And I would love to hear from you. Let me know what works, what doesn't, and if you have a story to tell, please reach out. Come join the Leap community at the Ladies Who Leap Club Facebook group. Remember, leaping out of your comfort zone is where the growth happens.